Hi everyone and welcome to Regine's podcast. Peace declares war on unhappiness on earth. Once upon a time, there was a war that never ceased to function, allowing the poor soul that we all are to never see the light of day again. This war was staged by individuals in need of everything, and above all, everything. This famous all, supposed to unite us to create a world of peace, not only for each and every one of us, but also within ourselves. We had to get angry with this world of war to finally catch a glimpse of the word peace on the tip of a lip, yet destined to annihilate us with its words of fear. We had to conform to the world's current vision, to understand that we were not second-class dogs, destined to serve as a pack for the infinitely great that we didn't even know existed on Earth. We had to see that the local or international press magnate was only serving up the lie of his own betrayal of his own humanity. We had to see the sickly man grown wings, to understand that truth was not on his side, but on the side of the man who knows where to look for his way forward. And peace had to do the same, to seek the greatest folly of rebirth on a day when the act of thinking and dreaming was forbidden to us, even by the hand of our own conscience. But did this conscience want us awake to death, or to the peace it could bring afterwards? A good question, because nobody knows what there is after death, except perhaps peace. Yes, this peace that we think is so obvious to find, when in fact it's only a succession of death in our daily lives, so that we can finally dream of its appearance in our lives. Peace requires so many sacrifices that even the journalist doesn't yet know that his lies have put everything in order to finally achieve this peace. Indeed, when a lie disguises a soul's truth to itself, it opens the doors to peace, so that it can no longer lie to itself afterwards. The lie announces peace by forging the glory of the deliquescent in its own vision of humanity in general. The lie will now pave the way for real, meaningful news that will herald the death of humanity as we know it. For it must be reborn, whatever the cost, under the aegis of peace. But peace is no laughing matter when it comes to bringing it into our lives. No, it's uncompromising, forcing us to see the pure, hard reality of our past actions, to finally recognize what has blinded us until now. Yes, because the light of renewal won't come from the latest film craze, but from what we make of it with peace in our souls. We mustn't believe that Hollywood's dilated dream magic is responsible for the current bloody mess, if we are to believe the specialists in scorned childhood, those who are rampant on the hate TV sets towards these same children, by dint of denying the violence from which they have difficulty recovering after years of study in search of an almost non-existent knowledge on the benches of this so-called Republican or state school, depending on where we live. So, we had to call on peace, to show us everything that was wrong with it, and by that I mean its truncated form, which most of us like to think it's sufficient and possible to live with all the way to the end of our path on earth. But no, the soul, from the depth of its presence within us, cannot conform to the primitive form of a peace. imposed by a subconscious mind in the grip of the permanent death of its ideals of life and, above all, of its reason for being there. Peace is now ready to open itself up to the world, giving it multiple supports for reflection and thought in order to emerge from the lethargy of the all-controlling mind of a society that was intended to be peaceful at first sight. But as we emerge from this long sleep of death, in the face of the uncertainty of our life, on the hook of a system that is increasingly infantilizing and castrating our own will, the human soul is now going to have to face up to its deepest fears. The fear of starving to death in front of an hormone-contaminated steak. Those of dying of fear in the face of threats from the banker, who is just as insolvent as his customers, who are said to be passive because they let him take all their money without moving a finger. The one who hits the withdrawal button to show his disagreement with the organized theft of his money by all those who run a state. And not in the name of serving the people, but in the name of this famous general interest, which is not free of rights by selling itself to the highest bidder of today's bankers of death. When I talk about bankers, I'm talking about those who spend our money to make it inaccessible to us by putting it at the service of the infamous soul destroyer. The notorious transhumanist who, in the guise of an international benefactor, sends his demon case to die in the spotlight. Because who else but a demon can promise happiness to souls in disarray under the yoke of a dictator so innocent of its own vision of things, so blinded by the fear of being nothing on a daily basis? These men and women take themselves for masters of a universe that is neither theirs nor ours. It's simply an alchemy so complex yet so perfect that no living being is needed to bring it into line with the very notion of human life on Earth. This is how peace is going to arrive on Earth, and it won't be on a white horse with a redemptive laurel palm for some human hero. No, it's going to arrive through the smallest of doors, her own, the one that's now going to open to give her the chance to exist on her own. Because for far too long she's been subjective to the ridicule of those around her for a supposed lack of courage. But she's made sacrifices, some far more complex than others, in order to win back the love of her loved ones and, ultimately, of the whole world. She's now ready to move on, because she knows that loving herself as peace is much harder than destroying what made us human beings full of grace and truth to ourselves. So she's going to put on the cloth of peace, but sometimes with the shield of fear, so as not to appear too honest and self-confident in the face of anyone who still thinks they can dominate her. But know that no one will be able to dominate her from now on, for a decision to be peace and to come before humanity will now serve the interest of all those who have fought to regain her peace, and above all those who can no longer bear not to recognize her through what seemed so obvious to them. Peace is announcing its arrival on earth, and its birth will not be painful for the souls who seek to understand its reality, but that all those who refuse to see it will have to suffer the consequences of their past actions, denying it from all sides and especially from the finger of the accuser they once were. For yes, I forgot, Peace doesn't arrive alone. It has in its armor the sword of truth, which will never again leave its horse, lest it too should renounce peace. And so it is, my friends. March ends with the gift of peace to mankind, for in the next few months her decisions will be to forge ahead without seeking the support of the Prime Minister of right thinking on earth. No, she's going to move forward with the gaze of goodness towards all those who recognize her heart of goodwill for humanity. And believe me, there will be many who will want to meet her, touch her, and talk to her, to understand how she too manages to be reborn from the dead. Prepare yourself for her coming and welcome her with good cheer and kindness, for fear is not really a threat to her. Having been around it for so long, she realizes that it's of no use in moving forward. Let's face the enemy, dear friends, by growing up not with the eyes of fear, but with the eyes of peace towards ourselves. Good luck to all, because the Countess will now also open her bag of peace to bring out her life project, which was and perhaps always will be symbiosis, a tale of rebirth that helps us understand that fantasy is not always so innocent of courage when the words are given to it by that same peace that seeks to reach the whole world. Bye bye!